Hi there, I'm Heather Plett at SophiaLeadership.com, and I'm starting a series that I'm calling Let Go of the Ground and Taste the Sky. It's something I've been thinking about for quite a long time now. I'm working on a book, and one of it seems the main theme running through it is about the idea of letting go of the sky, or letting go of the ground, and really it's about surrender. It's about surrendering to the mystery, to the divine, to our own DNA and to what we've been created to be. And the thing about surrender is that it is not easy. It's tough. It can be really, really painful. It can be excruciating. And I'm going to share a story with you, a personal story of surrender, and I've got lots of them. It's something that you need to keep doing repeatedly. And I use the analogy of the butterfly that has to surrender to the chrysalis, or the caterpillar has to surrender to the chrysalis before it can become a butterfly. But the difference between us and butterflies is that we have to keep surrendering over and over and over again. It's not a one-time process. And I'm going to share with you a personal story of surrender. And this is something, some of you know this story if you've been on my blog long enough. Last year, right around this time, I was at a place, it was exactly a year ago, I had decided that it was time to quit my job and launch my self-employment. And I'd been dreaming about this for a long time. And at the time, my husband had finally gotten a job after going to university and working part-time for a while. He had finally gotten a full-time job, so it seemed like a good time to launch my own business and take that risk and take that leap. However, at this time of year, I was at a conference in Chicago, and I was planning to come home from that conference and give my notice at work. Unfortunately, during the time that I was at the conference, my husband went through a really, really difficult time. He deals with some mental illness issues, and he went through a really, really deep depression, and he also deals with panic disorder, and things didn't work out for him at his job. And actually, when I came home from my conference in Chicago, he spiraled further and further into the ugliness that is mental illness. And unfortunately, he attempted suicide. And that was a really, really difficult time in our lives. And you can go back on my blog and read about that if you're interested. It was excruciating from all counts, and one of the things that was, along with having to be his support when he was in the psych ward for a week afterwards, and working through really, really difficult situations with a flawed mental health system. I also had to be a support for our 3 kids. But on top of that, there was a piece of me that felt really, really resentful of the whole situation, because it felt like I then had to give up my dream. I had to give up the dream of becoming self-employed at that time, and I had a really hard time letting go of that. But it wasn't the right time, and so I gradually had to let go, and that was a case of surrendering that dream, thinking it was the right time, and then having to give that up. But gradually that surrender paid off, and a few things that happened coming out of that experience. For one thing, there was a real aha moment for me going through, like I say, a very flawed mental health care system, and recognizing some really, really deep needs that I thought I had some idea how to fill, and I had some understanding of what it would take, for example, in that situation, to bring feminine wisdom into the way we run our mental health care systems. And so I started to dream a little bit about that, and it helped fuel the ideas that I've since emerged with on Sophia Leadership. But even more than that, what happened after I recommitted to being at work and in the job I was at, and went back to work after taking some time off with my husband, I went to ALIA, which stands for Authentic Leadership in Action. It's a leadership, it's hard to define what it is. It's a conference, retreat, workshop, all rolled into one. And it was possibly the most transformative week in my life. I dreamed new dreams there, and really that was the birthplace of Sophia Leadership, if I really think about it. And I'll link to those posts once I'm finished this video. You can follow those links. But it was really, afterwards, I realized that if I hadn't been at work, if I had resigned at that time, I would have never had a chance to go to Alia, and I would have missed that really amazing, transformative experience. And then a month later, things started changing again, and then it was the right time. Even though my husband wasn't in full-time work, he's a substitute teacher and continues to be. But I did recognize that, you know what, now it's time to go. It is time, and it's the right time, and it's a risk, and it's a crazy risk, and it's letting go of the ground in many, many ways. But it was the right time. And amazingly, what happened in July, when at the very moment my husband and I had a long conversation, decided, yes, it's time to go now. And I came to some real peace about that decision. And within minutes, I opened my emails, and there was an invitation to teach at the university, unsolicited, didn't know it was coming, and it just came moments after making that decision to make that leap. So it was a real affirmation that yes, this is the time and this is the right thing to do. So that's a little bit of a story of my surrender and what it takes. Surrender can be, like I say, the most painful thing you're ever going to go through. But in the end, we don't get to taste the sky if we don't let go of the ground.
Are you ready to